My screen, everybody can still see me? Is that correct? If I share my
Yes, you
screen?
could share and they'll still see your face. It's going to be
Very
fine.
good.
Yes.
So now I'm going to share my screen and here we are. All right, so I guess you guys can see me. All right, so first of all, it's really fun to be here. I got into this sport and I call it a sport because I think all you guys know that it can really kick your butt. So I got into this about 5 years ago. I was actually interested in astronomy for many years. One of my first drummers, Ross Salomon, actually made his own mirror, ground his own mirror, and that's how I got into it. And my first telescope was a very early Celestron 8, which I used setting circles on. I owned a home in Hawaii, and I kind of made it work, but it was a little too cumbersome. So with the advent of computers, which I've always been into, I've always been a techno guy. That's when I got, when I started to realize, hey, wait, you could do this stuff and make it a lot easier on yourself and actually see something and maybe take some cool pictures. So having said all that, I had my original location for doing my astrophotography was in a place that had very, very little sky area. And so consequently, I started to get into solar photography and solar viewing and then solar photography. And I realized that, the rest of the universe looks very static. And but the sun is always changing. So I just got more and more into it. And over the last 5 years, I've won a couple of images of the day on Astrobin. One of the first ones that I did got picked up by NASA on their quote unquote precursor to an APOD site, and it's still on that site. But I got into the animation, and at first it was incredibly difficult. I'm an improviser. As a piano player and as a musician, I'm an improviser. So consequently, I don't do everything the same way all the time. So I was searched around on how to do this, and I found a guy, and you probably know who this guy is. His name is Chuck's. It's called Chuck's Astrophotography on YouTube. He's a quirky guy from Detroit. He's won 3 APODs sitting in his little tiny house in somewhere out of Detroit. But he did a video on how to do prominence animation, and I kind of took that video and I completely enhanced it and changed it. And him and I communicate. He comments on my stuff and I ask him questions and stuff like that. So this is where this is how far I've taken it. Now, if you look at this, I think I'm going to assume that people, know about looking at the sun, and that we're not talking about a complete novice when it comes to looking at the sun or photographing the sun. So I think you guys can see, Chris, you can see my this thing with the words on it, right? You can see all that?
Yes, it's all good.
Okay, good. So these are the 6 things, right? Seeing is the number one thing. The less turbulence, the better, right? And then focus. I mean, I think in astrophotography, that's the most important thing, period. If you can have the greatest seeing and the greatest everything, if you're out of focus, you're screwed. Then, so my equipment, I have, I'm more fortunate than a lot of people. I don't have a financial problem, so I kind of just buy whatever I want. And I know it's stupid, but I do it anyway. So I start out with I have a Stellarvue 102 doublet, and I don't have a triple apple because I found that you're not doing any color correction. You're using a mono camera, so it really doesn't make any difference. So then I have a Daystar 4 angstrom quantum PE HA filter, stupidly expensive, but very, very efficient. That filter is now being sent down to Christian's place down at Siding Springs in Australia. We're going to set that up as a separate Southern Hemisphere solar thing, and I have I have a Solar Spectrum 3 angstrom coming. If Mark Wagner at Solar Spectrum can ever build it. Anyway, so we have a Botter 4X extender. You're trying to get between F28 and F35. People go like, oh, it's got to be F31. Good. Well, you fret over that. F28 is just fine. So is F35. Then I use a Botter red ERF filter. I like red because Mark Wagner said it's the best, so he knows more than I do. You need a camera tilt adjuster for Newton rings. You know those, like if you've ever done any solar photography, if that camera is kind of head on, you'll see these rings and they're very annoying. You could get rid of them by making flats. Flats work really well for shooting the chromosphere, but not necessarily for prominences. Then I use a ZWO 174 camera, but I prefer, and I have a FLIR Grasshopper USB 3. Now I had one, I broke it, and I had to go back to the ZWO. And I ordered one from FLIR 8 months ago, and I finally found one on eBay, so I got that back. Now the interesting thing about this is that they both have the same Sony chip, exactly the same one, except the FLIR, it's twice as expensive. But the FLIR has, for whatever reason, I don't know what they're doing in the electronics, but the contrast is palpably better. Okay, so if you can get the FLIR, if you can find one, that's the killer. Now I got the used FLIR for about the same price as a new 174, but the 174 works fine. Don't get me wrong. So then you need an electronic focuser, because think about it. If you're going to do what we're talking about, animations, you're going to have to sit in the sun and babysit. First of all, you're going to bake. You're going to probably get heat stroke, and you will never be able to see the screen with any kind of contrast to know if you're in focus. Okay, so you're gonna want to shoot it from off screen, and I talk about this right here. But you need a mount with good polar alignment, not great but good, or you need an Astrahotech, and I'll show you what this is. Let me bring this up real quick here. This is my rig, and then this is here. Let's see, this is, no, that's not it. Where's that? Here it is. This is the, so this right here is an Astrahotech solar guider. It acts just like a regular guider in DSO, and it works really, really well. And it'll become apparent why you need to do this. So where's that again? As you can see this. So you can see here, here's the Daystar filter. Here's, why isn't it? Why it keeps doing that? I don't know why. Hold on a second. So, and then you have extender tubes. You've got here's the camera. Here's the tilt filter, and you've got the botter sitting in there someplace, the botter 4X, and there's the at the front. There's the ERF filter. Okay, so you can do this with a lot of different stuff. This is what I ended up with. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. You tell me if there's a better way to do it, and I'm happy to listen to. So, like I said, you want this stuff here, this electronic focuser stuff, and the good mount, because you want to sit in the shade so you can see the computer screen. Otherwise, seriously, I tried doing this without doing that. Now you can make what I did end up doing before I got an observatory was I actually took a sun umbrella, and I cut a section out of it, and I stuck the telescope through it, and then I had everything set, and that worked pretty good, but it still got hot. Okay, so anyway, so the reason this is vital again is because, well, here's the way I do it, right? I shoot 150 10-second AVIs, right, with SharpCap, with 10 seconds in between each one. So it comes out to about a 50-minute total, okay? Now you say, well, people say, well, how come so many? You don't really need to have that many. But what I like to do, I mean, it's easy for me to do it, so why not? And then I can always cut out ones that didn't come out right, something weird happened with some big turbulence or something that it just, whatever, maybe a little cloud passed through or whatever you have, what have you, right? So I just like to have extra. So, and then I shoot with SharpCap. I stack with AutoStakkert. We're going to go through all this. The SharpCap thing we can't do because the sun's not out right now, so I can't really show you anything. And my main program is Pixinsight, and I use it because of its incredible bulk processing ability. And then I use a program for alignment called ImPPG. Now, again, you can do alignment and stuff in a lot of different programs with Registacks and Photoshop and stuff. And to me, this is the easiest way. I'm always looking for the easiest way. I'm old and I don't want to spend way too much time on this stuff. So, and then I use PIPP for my animation to put it together as a GIF. Now people are using Mojave and some people use Photoshop. I've found when I tried, my initial foray into this animation thing, I used Photoshop. It knocked me on my ass. I couldn't figure out anything. It was so frustrating. I just went, I'm not doing this. And then I found Chuck, and he showed me how he did it with Pixinsight, and I went, oh, well, we have you now. So anyway, without further ado, let's see if we can. So we can take this. And I'll get you a copy of. You can have a copy of this, or you probably, if you're recording it, you can see, and you can, I think Christian will forward anything to me that I'll answer any questions that I know. I don't know a lot, but I know enough to make some pretty cool pictures. So let's just so let's go to. Let me show you the result of what we got. This is the result that I got that won an image of the day. So that's the result. Now you can make, actually Christian and I did a rehearsal yesterday and we made it better than this. So let's say, so how do we get that? How do we get that result? So first of all, you go to SharpCap, and like I said, you take these. Now, if I open up SharpCap, you're not going to see anything. I can probably, let me see if I can connect to anything. Yeah. Let's see. I'm just going to try to look. Let's see. I'll do a camera simulation. It's not going to matter. Okay, so look. So with SharpCap, basically speaking, I want to shoot with not a serif file up here, but an AVI. It automatically defaults to AVI. Color space is going to, you don't need mono 16, mono 8 is fine. And then you start adjusting the exposure. You start fishing around the side. You're going to need more exposure for the proms. You're going to blow out the surface. Okay, that's why I use the black backgrounds that you're going to see. So you find the prom, which obviously is on the limb, which means it's sitting away from the chromosphere. So if you originally focus on the chromosphere, you're going to be off on the prom. So because it's closer to you. So then you focus on the prom and you get it in nice focus, put it in the middle, set it for whatever capture area you want, and then you'll get a frame rate anywhere from between with the ZWO. If you don't crop it, you'll go like maybe 35 frames a second. If you crop it to like small to get a nice close-up version, you could go to 80 frames a second. The more frames a second, obviously, the better. Okay, so let's just assume now you take your 150 and you go here like this. This is how you see. You set this. There's one. See, this is 150 sequence length. That's how many times I'm going to shoot it. Interval between captures, and then I say start, and then it just goes. And it takes, and you got to you might have to babysit it. Like that's what I'm talking about, because you want to keep this thing, that shot kind of in the middle. You know what I mean? So you're talking about 50 minutes of your time. If you have it really well polar aligned and you have a solar tracking time, you maybe have to do it 4 or 5 times. That's it in 50 minutes. It's not that big of a deal. So now here's what you get. So here's what you end up getting. Okay. So you end up getting this. You end up getting a bunch of, here we go. So you get, this is the first one I did of that shot. This is it right here. This is what you end up getting. Okay. That's 10 seconds, right? And that's it. Okay. So you see that, and they're all about the same. All right. Okay. Now you open up AutoStakkert and you can take all of these. I'm not going to do that right now, but you can select them all and drag them over to here, over to the thing, and you get this. And you want to set this at surface right here, not planet. And then you kind of, so you can kind of see what you're doing. You just take this little alignment, this zoom thing and zoom it, take control click to put this in the middle because it helps stabilize things, right? Okay. Now, so you don't touch anything else. And then you press analyze. It's going to go through, it's going to analyze this. Okay, it's going to analyze this. Now it analyzes this. And so I'm going to say, it gives you a thing. So you can select the frame percentages of the stack, right? You can also, if you'd like, you can go like this. You can move it to a frame. You can move it to a frame that you'd like as a reference. Let's say that one. Then you can press analyze. It's going to come out the same, right? And then you say, okay, I'm going to do a stack of 20 and then a stack of 50 or 45, let's say, and then maybe a stack of 80. Okay, so to see which ones you go. And then you go back to this big page and you could just pick out one of these numbers here. The bigger the number, the bigger the squares. Okay, I'm going to clear this off so you can see this. Why is it this? Okay, that's acting funny. All right, I don't know why this is doing that. This is the first time for everything. Okay, well, I'm gonna just, let me quit out of this real quick. I don't know why this happened. All right, there we go. Okay, it finally found it. Okay, so I can clear this off and I can set these down manually, right? Okay, and that's not a bad idea because the more, you don't really need to have anything out here, okay? Because it's not really tracking anything. So you do this, and then you just say, stack, and it stacks, and it's going to give you the best 20%, the best 45%, and the best 80%. It's going to do it with everyone. Now, this process, the reason we're not going to do this in earnest and go with all of the 150 is because it takes about 3 hours, especially if you're going, so it's even with a super fast computer, which I have. So let's just assume, and I'll show you the results, okay? So now you see the results here. Hold on. So okay, so we did it, and here we go. So I picked, when I did this, I picked 25%, right? So you can see this here, right? You can see this this is one frame of 25%. Now what I do is this. Once I get this, this will show up without these two animate and animate web folders. These will not be in there. You create your own animate or animate, and these are like a template, right? This is for crop. This is where I put all my crop stuff. This is where I put all my align stuff. This is where I put all my color stuff. And then if I want to do something at the end where I think I can get it a little sharper, I put it in Topaz AI Sharp. Okay, so now, this is how, so we have a blank one of these. Oh, we don't. Let's see, why isn't it blank? Hold on a minute. Let me erase these. Hold on a second. Real quick. Okay, all right. Let me just let me erase these because I want to show you how we process this. It's pretty, this is really pretty nifty the way this works. Sorry. Delete. Make sure I got nothing else in there. Yes, yeah. That was Chris. That was our little.
Yeah, I remember.
Our little foray yesterday. I didn't erase it. Sorry about that. Make sure. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we have our little template that we can. Sorry, we have our little template that we can use, and this is all empty. So now we go here, right? Now we're going to open up Pixinsight, and this is where the fun starts, right? So we open up Pixinsight, and I open Here we go. Pixinsight. Oh, there we go. So I take the first one. Boom, there it is. Okay. So now I have a set of, which we're going to save this project so you guys can download this if you want. So, but I'm going to, before I do anything, I'm going to open up, like I have this little preset thing of processes that I use. And so this is what I use. So, okay, first thing you do, or first of all, a lot of this stuff is not in order, right? But you want to take this image and turn it into color. It's got to be turned into color. So I just did that. If you saw, I'll do it again. Okay, see this, sorry, color spaces. You want to make sure that's color. Okay, boom. Then I like to do everything. Some people like to have it where it's, you know, commensurate to the way it looked on, you know, like they'll have it shooting out down this. That's up to you. You know what I mean? I like to just have it, you know, I like to have it all on top. So right there. Okay. So, okay. So then you do that, right? So then you got this. Okay. That's the second thing you do. Then the third thing you do, which is really important, you need to crop this. And the reason you need to crop this, because when we go into do alignment, which is the next step, we want to make sure all the borders, we're not, you know, that there's not any weird borders. So that the alignment software just the alignment software just picks out the correct thing. So I'm going to just do it like this. I'd like to save this. And if you know anything about Pixinsight, you grab this new instance, you put it up here, or wherever you like, and then you can save that. Right. So now we got that. Okay. Now, next thing I like to do is I take curves and you open up your preview window and I kind of play around with like a little S curve kind of deal where I want to get a little, bring out some stuff in there. Maybe, you know, it's to taste. Okay. It is to taste. Then I hit the square because the preview window showing up. Then now we have this. Okay. Then I found out that which something I didn't know, and maybe you guys probably all know this about Pixinsight, but I didn't. There's a thing called restoration filter, which is actually a sharpening tool, which I didn't know. You know, Pixinsight tries to be really, really overly geeky and clever. I don't know why. I mean, you know, you could say, hey, another sharpening tool. That would be interesting, you know. So, and for whatever reason, you take this thing called shape and you bring it down to about, start with 100 or 105. It doesn't really matter. There's no preview on this. So you got to, now watch what happens to this picture. See that? Look at that. Now, here's what here. So this is where it gets to your taste. It's a little bit, this is a little bit too, I don't know about this right here, this stuff right here. Maybe that's a little too much. See, right? So maybe we bring this up to 120. Yeah, well, you know what? Let's just keep it like that for who cares, right? So, I mean, this is all to taste again, okay? Now, so this is why Pixinsight is so great, is you open up your image container. Right here, I have that set there. You can get the image container from here. So, but you open up your image container, you go to your, you go to where we are, webinar here, you pick all of these things. That's every one of the TIFFs. Then you open up the output directory and you open up animate, you open up your little, your repository, and I pick crop, right? I pick crop. And then I take this instance right here and I bring it over here, okay? Then I open up process container and I go to history explorer right here and I pick up the view and I go and I drag these over one at a time. Dynamic, drag them over one at a time. Restoration filter, drag it one at a time. And then I go drag that instance onto the image container and watch what happens. It starts going and you can see that, well, it's not going to that. Oh, I may have, oh no, that's wrong. That's wrong. Okay, sorry. There it is. See, so now they're all showing up in the crop area. Okay, So this takes a second, but when I tried to do all this stuff with Photoshop, and I watched some videos on YouTube and stuff like that, the process was so convoluted. And, and it's like, I just, don't have enough patience to go through that. This, when I saw this, I went, hey, that's for me, man. I'm in. So I think I believe it or not, I think I actually used 175 frames for this. So it takes a little bit longer, but it's not that big of a deal. Well, by the way, the Tesla hat, I'm not a tree hugger. I like to go fast. So that's it for me. Okay, here we go. We're almost there. So once this gets done, okay. Once this gets done, then the next thing I do, and it'll get done in a second, make sure. Almost, come on, boys. So, I mean, oh, here we go. See, that wasn't so bad. Okay, so the next thing we do is we pull up this program that I got turned on to. I don't even know who turned me on to this. It's called ImPPG, which is, it's all freeware, all this stuff. You go tools, align image files, image alignment. So then I go back up to bang, bang, bang. I go to crop. I take them all. I put them in. I go to align. I go to browse. Oh, excuse me. Let me get a little slower. This is the output folder. Okay. By the way, all of these are default. They're all default. You might want to change this one if you have really jumpy images. You might change this to pad to bounding box, which quite frankly don't know what it means, but it seems to take jumpy images and allows you to recrop them and make them cool. So I'm going to go to the output folder, pick the output folder. Of course, where am I going to go? I'm going to go to where you're going to guess this right. I'm going to go to align. I'm going to go there. Now, this is a real quick process, right? Bang. This is very quick. A lot quicker than the other thing. So once this gets done, we go back and select the same picture. You don't have to do that, but why not? I'm almost finished here. There it goes. And this will tell you, by the way, if it's not working, it's going to tell you immediately it's not working. It's going, I can't see anything, or, you made a wrong mistake, you made a mistake, or whatever you're going to do. So, okay, bang. Okay. So now, Chris, I'm moving you over. You're too much. You're in the middle of my screen, and I just moved you over. I relegated you to the backyard. Anyway. So, okay, so now we just put this guy up here, leave him up here, put this guy up here, leave him up here, go back and open up, go to the align thing, open up one of the alignment guys. Now you'll see that it's sitting there like this. Now, here's where it starts to get fun. So this is what I do, okay? So I take range selection, right? I open up the preview and I take the upper limit and I bring it down till I get it to about like this, right? Okay, then I smooth it out a little bit, and you see how there's that black part. I'm going to want to get rid of that, and I will. So I create my mask. Okay, I create my little mask, and then now I got this thing, and I want to get rid of this. So what do? I open up a clone stamp, set this in about 15 right here. Go Control, mouse click, and then just erase it. And you could, so what happens a lot of times is like, sometimes you'll get a prompt that has like some areas. Let's see, let's do this. You get a prompt that has some areas down here that are, that are really blown out. You really can't deal with them. And you kind of, you don't want the black to show up through that. So you kind of want, you want this to be nice and smooth, if you know what I'm saying, right? So now you got a mask, okay? So now I take the mask and I drag it. And I think you all know about this. If you don't, you drag this little thing here over to here, and voila, you have, this turns brown, and now you see the mask is in place. Well, the first thing I want to work on is the black area. So I go to here, right click, I say invert the mask, and then I take curves, and I don't even need to show the preview on this. I just take this right up here in the corner and drag it all the way down. And I drag this instant over here, and boom, it's black. All right. So now I leave this up because I'm going to do something on the other side. So now I'm going to invert this mask. And I don't want to see it because I want to kind of get into the color, and I don't want to see it. So I say, show it. I don't want to see it. So now the way you get the color is, and this again is the taste, right? So you open up your preview again. You take your red and you push it up, right? Then you take your green and you pull it down. And then you take your blue and you pull it down. And you start to get some stuff, right? Then you can play around with, you want to get it a little bit, let's get it nice like that. That looks pretty cool. Let's do that, right? All right. You can mess with saturation. I like to turn these off when I've got too many lines on there. All right, that's it. That's good enough. Okay. So now this is what happens. Every time you do this, the preview doubles, whatever, I don't know, it's some weird thing, but look, there's the result, right? So that result is pretty nice, right? You know what I mean? Now you can go like, you can look in this and say, well, I wonder if I could do something else with this. Okay. So I have this, there's a thing there, it's called local histogram equalization, which again, they should just call it contrast, but no, they can't do that. Let's bury it someplace and use a scientific term that no one cares about, but that's all right. He's smarter than I am. So, so we take the, you can see if that might be a little too much. So let's, like that, let's see what the difference. It's kind of interesting. I mean, it's a little overdone. Okay, but I just, I'm trying to show you just, just a kernel maybe. You know what? Let's just leave it the way we had it, like this. I think, like, let's just not mess with it. Okay. So we got that, right? So then now we're in that deal. So we remove the mask, and then we take the image container, open up a new image container, go back into the aligned section, which we see, select them all, go to output directory, select color, bang, create an instance here, go to history, pick out the one that says aligned. You'll see the two things. So sorry, excuse me. You got to bring up a process container, which is also, you can bring up here too, I believe. See, anyway, so then we just press the curves, drag the curves again, because we did two curves. And once again, drag this process container or instance to this image container. It's going to go bang, bang, bang. And it's going to go through its thing. And you will see see, it's doing it. So then we're almost done. Now you can, again, you can opt to, at that point, go into Topaz, and I'll show you Topaz AI Sharp. We don't necessarily have to do the sharpening technique, but it has a really cool thing where it will determine what type of sharpening each image needs. It has its own artificial intelligence, so which is really kind of cool. I mean, because a lot of times you'll get this turbulence. This is what I'm talking about, seeing and stuff. You get this weird turbulence, and some of them are good and some are bad. If you put a certain kind of sharpening on one that's good, it's going to screw it up. If you know what I mean. So you're going to even get more of a mismatch, in your. you're trying to get evenness, right? That's the one thing I try to shoot for. I've got, if you go on the Astrobin, my handle is Astro Hawk. And I've got, I've got a couple of 2 or 3 images the other day, all in animations, but I try to get that really fine detail with no jumping around. And that's for me, it's like, because the other stuff is distracting for me. Okay, I think we're finished, and we are. Okay, so I'm going to keep this because we're going to save this till later. So now the final countdown. So we got all this here. We open up this thing called PIPP, which is a lot of, like I said, a lot of people are using Mojave. I've tried it. It seems to work okay. You can do some slick zooming in and zooming out. I'm not all about that yet. I got enough on my plate to zoom in. I just want to do something nice and simple. Oh, and by the way, I've got a bunch of animations that I've done with the surface and the prom. So, that's a different story. This is strictly prom. Okay, so now we've got this up here, right? So now we go to processing options here. This is the first thing this is a surface feature, and you want to enable surface tracking. It's not a planet. So, and you move this thing around, it brings this up. See, watch, if I take this off, it's gone. See, bring it up, comes back. This will kind of help stabilize again stuff, right? Now you can always, if you decide, oh, I want to crop this a little bit more. So you bring this up, enable area of interest. You bring this up, and you can go crop it a little bit more. See what I'm saying? Get it even, whatever you want to do. And then animation options. The only thing I touch is play all frames in reverse order after forward play. Because I don't like going from forward and then click and then starting from forward. It doesn't, it's just not aesthetically pleasing to me. It's jerky and weird, and I don't like it. So that's enough for me. So, and then you go to output options, excuse me, animated GIF. This is a frame rate. Now you can play around with this. If you've got a few frames, not a lot of frames, let's say you got 75 frames, you want to slow it down a little bit and have it 20 frames a second. But if you got like a lot of frames, like I got 30, 35 is really cool. Okay, so I go and I say maximum quality. Then when you press the do processing thing, it does a weird thing. It says processing. It's really not processing. Don't ask me why, but it's some weird way they wrote this. So you got to still got to go up here and press start processing. So we start processing. This takes a little bit longer than the alignment thing, but it's, the result is always, what's nice about this is you never know what you're going to get. It's kind of like the Forrest Gump of astrophotography. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. You don't know. I mean, I've taken some shots, some animations where like there's some wacky stuff going on inside the prominence, and I never saw it while I was shooting it because it's so, so much material. It's moving, so slowly to the naked eye because it's so gigantic. So, but it's always fun. If I had to do only one type of astrophotography, and they only gave me one thing, I wouldn't hesitate. I'd go solar, period, without a doubt. I'd stick with that because it's different every day, and we're coming into a new maximum period. I think, hopefully, we're almost done here. We got 26%. So I hope this is informative to people. I don't know, again, I'm not a real. Christian is helping me with the technology, not with technology. I understand technology from the standpoint of computers and things, but I really want to understand the science of this more. And I don't understand the science of it quite well, quite enough. But I'm learning, I'm studying, and I enjoy doing that. So I really fly by the seat of my pants. That's what I do, and that's what I've always done. I've been successful at it, and I'm not going to change. And so I come up with decent results. And it's relatively easy, as you can see. It's not that difficult. I mean, it's really some steps which you guys now know. And you know, and here's a beauty part. You might go, oh, you know, I could do this or I could do that, you know, because I'm sure half you guys know twice as much as I do about all this stuff, you know, and you'll go, well, what if you did, you know, like I started to screw around the other day with RegiStacks from the standpoint of bulk processing. And it's like, there's a way to bulk process stuff, but it's, again, super convoluted, but I found a video that it does it really well. So I may start doing some wavelets ahead of time using RegiStacks. I might even get it better, you know, so I'm always open to stuff, you know. So here we go, we're almost done. And this will automatically pop up and you'll see the result. And you can sharpen it more, sharpen it less, contrast it more. Again, it's like gumbo. Hold on, we're almost done, boys. Here we go, 85. That's what I shot the other day on the golf course. Not very good. Here we go, we're almost there. Oh, and by the way, if you this is kind of a neat feature of PIPP. So if you get a result and you go, you know, it's jumping around a little bit, it's something. So I want to go and find the frames that are jumping around. You want to pull them out. There's an option in here that tells you it will set up the last stuff that you set up. So you can do everything, you know, it'll give you the exact same setup, and you can save setups too. So here it is right here. This is what it comes up with, and there you go. So this is jumping around a little bit, okay? All right. So obviously something happened in the auto alignment, in the alignment situation. But so this shows you it's not everything's not always perfect. But you know, so I would go back and look at the alignment. I would go back and maybe do the alignment over again. But that's it. So the original one, I didn't have that problem. This is the one that Chris and I did yesterday. I would change this because there's a little green in there that I don't like, but so that's it. I mean, Chris, do you have any questions or?
No, I mean, you put the magic right in front of us. I find it very effective. I'm just looking at the chat comments too, and then we'll go over to questions and answers. I think Pixinsight is very effective in this case for the batch processing. It seems you found the perfect combination here for doing this. It's very
I think that the real key is the batch processing, right? And when I realized, you know, because I had never done any batch processing with Pixinsight of any volume, because you know what I'm saying, that, and then all of a sudden when I realized, it was almost as if, like, tell you the truth, it's almost as if like I didn't even realize, you know, that you could do solar processing or any kind of solar stuff with Pixinsight. It's kind of, you know, I always kind of looked at it as a DSO thing, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden when I saw Chuck do it, you know, and he was using it, you know, and it was like, oh, wait a second here, this is a game changer, you know, because, you know, I don't have, you know, because otherwise, you know, without that processing and having to go through, I mean, a lot of guys, I was going through like sharpening everything one at a time. I mean, that's a non-starter. You know, that's a total non-starter. 150 frames, forget about it. I'm not doing that.
Absolutely. Okay, let me jump over to the question. So obviously, I can see people are very excited. They love the way you do it. It's very creative. I'm not surprised, Hawk, that you're so creative. It's bringing your music creativity right into astrophotography.
Thank you very much.
Really beautiful presentation. Thank you so much.